Hello, boys and girls. How are you doing today? We have our review for Civilization 5, and this review covers the base game plus Gods and Kings. So it does not include Brave New World. So sorry if you guys have that, but I don't. I can't take it into account. Now, Civ 5 is a four times turn-based game, strategy game. It's been around for a long time now, and there's obviously five previous installations plus some spin-off installations. I have played 3 and 4 in the past, and then recently number 5. But number 5 took a bit of a different turn. So in all 3 games that I've played, you manage relationships, you control your armies, you can grow your culture and do research to learn new technologies. There is a trade system, although it's pretty basic, at least in number 5. And you're given civic choices, which is basically how do you want to expand and grow your government and society? Should it be more communist? Should it be more scientific, more religious? And you do have those choices, which are built through trees in this game. You earn the points through culture, and you can spend them on different advancements, which have their own bonuses. Now, the games can take a pretty long time, but there are a flurry of options to keep things fresh, which brings me to my pros. There are a lot of things to do. There's a lot of options. You start the game, you choose your civ, you choose your difficulty, your map size, the type of map it is, all sorts of things. How long do you want the game to be? There is a quick setting. I still find it to be a little bit long, but it is a long-term game. It's something you play over many different sessions. You don't just sit down and finish it. There are also different bonuses that come with each civ. So in my gameplay video, you might have seen I played as the Huns, and they had their own unique units, which were the battering ram and horse archers. And each faction, like I said, also has their own bonuses. There's one faction I really like. You get gold bonuses for every city connected by trade routes, I think it is. And basically, it makes you rich as fuck. So that's pretty good. On the other hand, there are some civilizations which don't really benefit as much, it seems, or if they do, it's not the playstyle that I'm interested in playing. Now, it is a pretty addictive game. You are going to be sitting down and playing this for a long time, and I have definitely lost track of time a fair bit with it. When I first got it, and it was fresh and new for me, I sat down, and it's like, oh my god, it's 4 o'clock in the morning kind of deal. So if you're into that kind of thing, you don't mind killing away some hours, give it a shot. Technically, it does utilize more than just 2 cores, which is kind of a neat thing because a lot of games, they're still programmed just use 2 cores maximum. It's getting a lot better, though, currently. If you do have a powerful rig, you can take advantage of this. On the other hand, it doesn't actually take that powerful of a computer to run. The system specs are pretty low. There's even versions of this game for tablet. And that's kind of an amazing feat, I think. Maybe it means we're being held back a bit on PC, but it's cool that they can make it accessible for everybody. Now, Civ 5 features a revamped grid system, and this is still my pros, but you'll see it again in the cons. And basically what they're using is hexagons, so each square or hexagon touches a total of 6 other hexagons, obviously. 6 sides, woohoo! And you can move in all those different directions, but only one unit of military might can occupy the same space. A worker can be in that same space, a settler can be in that same space, but only one military unit. In past games, it was a grid of squares, and you could have as many units as you wanted on one stack, in which they kind of call them, they ended up with the name Doom stacks, and they were just that. If a stack of hundreds of units came at you, you were pretty much screwed. Unless you had another stack of equal might to fight it. And to be honest, I really enjoyed the Doom stacks, and I was sad to see them go, but it does make combat more predictable, and that's where you get into the cons. The grid system, it does take away the cons of the old system, and it replaces them with something newer and fresher, with more possibilities for movement, but it feels like it restricts the game in terms of how you're being attacked. So, for example, there are choke points, and they act very well as choke points, like one space between mountains. You can't really traverse mountains with all units. So, in the old days, you'd build up a huge force and force your way through. With this one, if your opponent's smart, they can effectively cut you off through there because you can only send one unit at a time. It makes certain terrain locations very, very advantageous, but it also makes it so that if you see the enemy coming, you know they have to set up a certain way. They can't stack all their catapults in their army of warriors, and have them be defended. You know they're going to have to come at you. Warriors first, catapults after the area is clear. And yeah, it's kind of unfortunate. I'm not sure I really like it yet. Going to the graphics, it still kind of looks like recycled work. I'm not trying to be harsh, but if you look back at Civ 4, I don't think the graphics really improved that much. The landscape, maybe yes, but the models, not that much. I don't think they did. Kind of makes me upset they didn't put more work into that. Talking about the civs, like I said, a lot of them get cool bonuses, but a lot of them feel unspecial. Like, why would I ever want to play as Faction X when Faction Y gets these sweet advantages? A lot of it's about unit too. They get special, unique units. And if you have your unique unit in the early stage of the game, by the time you get to the late stage, your advantages really aren't that great anymore. Now, they did simplify the game a bit. So, in the past games, I think religion took a much bigger hold. You could, send your missionaries along and do all that kind of stuff. I think trade was bigger too, so setting up trade routes was more important. I didn't really see that as much in this game. And diplomacy as well. Diplomacy didn't seem to really matter too much. I made friends with people, I made enemies with people, but in the old days of civilization, you needed those friends to survive. I don't think that's really so much the case anymore. Maybe on the really high difficulties, but not overall. City-states, they're new to this game. Basically, they're one-city factions that don't try to expand. They ally with players, can provide bonuses and other things like that. But to me, it felt kind of like a nuisance. Why not have a civilization instead of a city-state? They don't really serve much function. They don't help me go to war that much, and they're hard to keep as allies. You really have to babysit them to have them be your friend continuously. Otherwise, it slowly deteriorates, and then they're really just there as an annoyance. They get ticked if you walk through their territory. I just end up taking them over or ignoring them. And honestly, I don't think they should be there in the first place. So, getting to the actual score. For gameplay, I think it's well done. You know what I mean? It's fun to play, it's smooth. There's a few times where something's kind of frustrating, like why when I want to click on a city to change the production, I gotta click it once, choose city, then click change production. But why can't I just have one icon on the city to do that? It's little things like that they take up time, it's extra clicks, and it kind of annoys me. And there were a few glitches as well regarding gameplay. So like when my mouse moved, when the turns changed, sometimes my mouse would get stuck scrolling, and that was annoying. Maybe it's fixed in the future versions, but in the version with gods and kings, it didn't seem to be. Now, for gameplay then, that means a total of 2.2 out of 3. And that's a pretty good score, I think. For addiction, like I said, it is addictive. You will likely find that you keep clicking that next turn button until you don't know how much time has passed and you don't care. So while it's pretty addictive there, I gave it a 2 out of 2, even though I feel it's not as addictive as bringing you back from a hiatus. So when I went on hiatus from this game, I didn't really get drawn back to it, but when I was playing it, it was so addictive, it earned that 2 out of 2. For reliability, I never had any problems. It never crashed on me. I never had any graphical errors or things like that, so 1 out of 1. Easy score for that. Atmosphere. It was really, it makes you feel like you're controlling a civilization, so it gets you immersed there. But I don't feel my civilization ever felt grand. And I never really felt immersed as the leader, more as like a all-knowing force above the civilization. I think if they worked on making it feel more like you were the actual king or emperor or whatever you have it of your civilization, it would do a lot more for atmosphere and immersion. Now for replay value, I mentioned there are a lot of options, but really once you've played a long game, you've seen everything a short game has to offer. And once you've played as a couple factions, changing your faction really doesn't spice it up that much. So there's only so much you can do, like increase the difficulty to really change how the game works. And because of that, it only gets a 1.3 out of 2. Provides lots of options, but too many of them are similar. So if you're doing the math, that adds up to a total of 7.5 out of 10. And I think that's a decent score. 75%, it's all right. It's a pass in most countries. And Civ 5 earned it. It's a well-known series. It's not surprising to see that the next installation was pretty good. Hopefully they take some thought when they're making the grid system for number 6 and when they're thinking about the number of things they either take out or put back in. Like I said, I felt they took a little too much out, but it's still a great game. It's worth playing. So if you see a chance to pick it up for cheap, I recommend you do so. At the very least, you will spend a fair amount of hours playing it and have a little bit of fun, hopefully, while you do it. Thanks for watching, guys. This has been the review for Civ 5, and I hope you enjoyed it. See you next time.